National Broadcaster DBS continues its quest to highlight and celebrate the achievements of Dominicans. We will discuss the highs and lows, the challenges and successes. Give us 90 minutes and we will solidify the connections we share with Dominicans all over. Anu celebrate achievement Dominice tuwo late. Connecting the dots. Tune in this Saturday, 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. Come join us as we weave a tapestry and strengthen our connections. Asu Radio DBS. Family, bonjour. Belle beau temps, aujourd'hui la belle samedi. Manger. C'est à l'autre fois pour nous venir ensemble et faire l'autre connexion. Come closer, people. Last week we were not around. Nigel was having a good time as a carnivalist while I was sitting inside a church, drinking water and minding my business. Nigel Francis, answer your name. Answer to your name.
Well.
I understood you were a carnivalist last week, Saturday.
I was a big time carnivalist. Yes,
You break away, man, Nigel.
Kisa?
Oh, you break away?
But I found myself doing like you when you had the Founders Day. But I didn't take any video, so you wouldn't see me like you. But I found myself in Atlanta for Atlanta Carnival.
When somebody sent me a video and I see your head.
Well, look trouble there now, eh? But I was, it was a great weekend, great carnival weekend in Atlanta. The family and I enjoyed ourselves.
Nice,
and let me not forget to say thank you to all the Atlanta people. Listen, we had a CTD party.
Yes,
because, everybody was like, how much they tune in, how much they enjoy the show, and we were going to party for CTD because we couldn't have it. So I was like, you know what? Let me have the party. So thank you. Hey, Stanley, good morning to you, Stanley and Shirner. It was lovely being at you guys' house and having a great time. Stanley, I would love to have some of those bigs this morning, but, it's all good. And all the others, Alvin Thomas, good morning. Thank you for your house as well. And Brough and Catherine and Cecilia and Wayne and Beryl, good morning. And thank you. Derek Liverpool and Teddy Henderson, tell me to tell you hello from Impulse Band. So it was great. And of course, to crown it off, we had a great time with Asa Banton. So Asa did his thing on the parade, the carnival parade, and in the park. And then there was a Sauce and Punch. And, Asa took care of that as well. And Nai and all the other Dominican artists. Great vibes, great weekend. Imagine. Can't forget. Was good.
Wow. And I went to Girardel, Nigel, the flower basket of the Commonwealth.
Yes.
So just a little after 9, I was sitting in the church with the technicians, so Dean and Dennis, because we were waiting to start an outside broadcast. So when it was approaching 9:30, Nigel, and I looking for my headphones and my microphone, I all thinking in the studio. I checking, but what is that for me the other night? Gel? No, man. I was hearing the theme song in my head and I was like, boy, best I start that, Something was on media last week with Nigel.
That's what happens when you're surrounded by flower and beauty. I guess you kind of forget what's happening, And mostly because we should have been in the studio with our ZTDs connecting the dots. So we were connecting with flowers and carnival. So that's all good, Yeah. I heard a little bit of the flower show, though. I took a little bit of the opening as actually driving on the freeway and listening to DBS whilst you're heading to the parade, to the carnival parade. So got a little bit of it.
Okay, but I have to say hats off to the organizers. They really went all out to, have a wonderful display of flowers, the Jodel and Eggleston Flower Show and Market Fair. I enjoyed the flower garden, the arrangements, Nigel. It was really creative, really wonderful, and so I enjoyed.
Nice, 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 nice. And of course, I mean, I know the Girodel folks were working pretty hard to make sure they had an event that, was going to be one to be remembered. And from the photos and videos that I've seen, really seem to have gone down pretty well, you know?
Yeah, yeah, nice, nice, nice. But
Yes, yes.
Nigel, so what's the weather like in your area? You have what? Heat or
Well,
what?
it's hot. It's hot today. Sun blazing down. Yesterday I was a little surprised. I was like, "What's going on?" It's only the second day of the hurricane season, and already we had it turned into a
Nigel,
tropical storm.
talking about that hurricane season. So I took my fastness. Well, not of my fastness, but I always look at the names of the hurricane. So I like put in hurricane names 2023. And
Right.
no, I saw some names there. Have you seen the names, Nigel?
Well, I saw a few. Yes.
Nigel, let me see if I was. I hope I wasn't wrong, because I would say I saw Nigel there. I saw a
Well, I
Don and I saw an Ophelia, unless it's the year before, and probably
well
I don't know.
somebody told me that too.
But so
Somebody
I have
said they saw
clarified that for me,
Nigel.
Nigel.
So let me clarify that for you because I think there might be yes, there might be a hurricane Nigel.
No, Nigel, you pay the people, man, that sets the hurricane names. And I see a Don there, so a Don is our guest today. I had Ophelia
Yes,
earlier,
yes,
earlier
yes.
on, and I saw Ophelia there. Nah, man, something wrong.
So it's
Something
only
wrong.
you missing now.
Man, I can never get that name. Ivona. I don't know. You might want to get that name.
Well,
I
I
keep
thought I
telling
thought there was no way they were gonna come up with Nigel because I mean it's not like I'm like Nigel, Hurricane Nigel.
you.
Man, this is gonna be a really
Man.
smiling hurricane.
Yeah, Bopu call Usab Nigel. Mm-hmm.
But
Hurricane,
yeah,
imagine
I was
Hurricane
like, man,
Nigel or
yes,
Tropical Storm
I
Nigel is
saw the
making its
weather
way.
yesterday up here, and I was like, "What's going on?" Because there's a tropical storm Allen that moved its way, through more than northern part of Florida. But got a little bit of rain and wind and stuff, and I was like, "Man, this is so early. How come we getting this already?"
Yes, yes, yes.
So hoping the hurricane season can be one that is doesn't create much destruction. We can't avoid it. It's going to
Man,
happen every
I
year.
tell you.
And once I say hurricane, I always have to say good morning to Nath. And of course, good morning to all the folks at the ODM as well. I know they're going to be pretty
Oh,
busy.
yes, oh,
Red Cross, good
yes.
morning to you, Reggie. I know it's going to be a busy time for all of them. So,
Yeah.
ready for the hurricane season again,
Yes,
man.
sir. We had some rain sometime this week. We had a lot of rain. I think it was on
Yeah.
Wednesday or what day. Nigel, I tell you, the gutters were overflowing. And it just gives an
Wow.
indication that if we get a lot of rain during the season, because we had a lot of, dry weather, a lot of
Right,
sun
right.
for days and months. So you can imagine that, the earth is cracked. So when it gets some water, you can just imagine what will happen. But
Oh yes, oh yes.
yeah,
Well, we
we
certainly
continue to
hope for the
pray.
best. Let's go out there and clean the drains. Make sure you don't have too much debris in there, and
Yeah, yeah.
I mean the causeways and the rivers and streams and all that. Let's ensure we have some smooth flowing
Yeah,
areas.
man. Yeah, man.
It's never too early to prepare. It's the hurricane season. We gotta be prepared.
Preparation is key, and our guests would know
It
that
is.
as well, in terms of preparation. But Nigel, before you go on to our guests, quickly on another note, a sad note though, the Commonwealth had its fair share of sadness this week. The murder of this 18-year-old Colonel Benjamin in
Yes.
Portsmouth, and the death of a teenager, from Salisbury, who was struck by a vehicle. Yeah, really sad. Really
It
sad to
is, it
see.
is, it is, it is. And, anytime a young person goes by that route, we are a little more devastated. And, condolences to the family and to the friends of those, I mean, the way Cornell went is not the way that we
Yeah,
would want any
man.
young person, young woman to go. Again, it cries out for us to, be mindful of, when we see the signs, speak up. If we see something, talk about it, say it. Um, you know, let's not continue to hide stuff and ensure that we can help save a life if we can. You
I
know,
agree. I agree.
so
I mean,
it is sad. It is
yeah,
is definitely sad to have
yeah.
that situation like that, and young lady who had a bright future. And
Bright
of course, the
future.
young guy, young students from the Isaiah Thomas School, secondary school, and I guess his was unfortunate like the others,
Yeah.
but vehicular accidents. Let's be mindful, guys, of the way we drive on the road and the things that we do.
Really, really sad time, and yeah,
Yes,
but life has to go on, and you see that's
it
just how it
does.
is. Life has to go on. Nigel, I
It
also
does.
want to, before we go on to Dawn, want to congratulate KEC, the Comité Poétique Creole. They had a very special ceremony this week at the Alliance Française. The media launch of two publications and an education video documentary. But what they also did was presented plaques to people who have made a significant contribution in developing the Creole language. And even
Now,
there were posthumous presentations as well, plaques given to people like Felix Henderson, the late, Marcel, Jamala Fontaine, Dr. Alwyn
oh
Woolley.
yes.
So it was a wonderful event, and DBS Radio received the plaque as well, and for that we are well pleased.
Oh yes, oh yes, and I mean DBS has done so much for the promotion of the Creole language. I mean, it's the only
Absolutely.
station that had its dedicated actual Creole program itself. So I mean DBS has continued to blaze that trail and continue to ensure look up all the Creoles out. So congratulations to DBS, congratulations to KEC, all the winners or awardees. Congratulations to them for that. Um, and continue the Creole language, man. Wadix, Kiwana, I mean, and Dennis Joseph, who started the whole
Tim
thing,
Durant would
put in
have done his part
Frampton,
as well,
Team
putting on
Jura,
Frampton.
and Nathaniel Jura, the
Velma
one from
Paul
was
as
there as
well.
well, so they've passed through, let me say good morning to my dear friend Avon
Oh yes,
Roy, who
Avon
was also
Royer. I
there.
even forgot that
Yes,
name.
met him in
Yes,
Atlanta as well for the
yes,
carnival.
yes.
So,
Latricia Cadet would have done her
um,
share as well.
Latricia Cadet would have done her share.
Stephen
So,
Danglebin too, hold the fort.
how can I forget my dear? Oh my God, how come her name? Oh, that's not good. Oh, Amelia,
Milia
good morning
Joseph
to you.
Dennis,
Yes,
yes.
Amelia Joseph Daniels, good morning as well. We've done her share as well in the Creole language. So, quite a few have passed through. Ole from Wadi Kole, who've also done his share as well, ensuring the Creole music and Creole language continues. So, big up to all of
All
them.
right.
Oh, let me say a special good morning. Today, I just saying good morning to everybody. I didn't worry if Verna said, Louis, good morning to you. Yes, it was nice meeting you. Met her for the first time. Well, not the first time, but met her again over in Atlanta. So, good morning to you. I know you're locked in. Derek, I already called you. Good morning. I just watching the book page now. The book I going through. Derek, good morning to you. Shul Jules, good morning to you. It's nice to know that you're there. Jacinta Banis, good morning. Of course, Kofi is always on. Good morning to Kofi. Waiting to hear from his partner, Don Yogi. Winnie Green is early this morning. Norrin Joseph was on very early too, so good morning to you, Norrin. Nice to know you're locked on. And Edwina London, good morning, good morning. Everybody, good morning. All right, I finished all my greetings now. Greetings line closed.
And before Vado send police for us, Vado, good morning.
Vado. Good morning. Bonjour.
Yeah, man. So let's bring on our guest, Don Leogal. It's really a pleasure. So that's the highlight. So at that time when we bring on our guest,
oh yes,
yeah, there are some people who go about their duty with humility and they do what they have to do. They realize they have a huge task to perform and they do it well. Don Leogal is one of these people, very very respectful, very determined, very dedicated to what he does, Nigel, and you know that well. And then
yes.
Don is just how do we sum him up, Nigel? If you had to describe,
if I had
Don
to describe
in a
him, I'm
word or
gonna say
two.
we're gonna sum him up as the sports extraordinaire.
All right.
He is the
Yeah.
sports personality. He embodies what sports is all
Yes.
about.
Yes.
What sports can do for you.
I agree.
Yes.
So we're going to
Definitely.
Let's put Don in proper context. Nigel, do you have a whistle?
Oh,
Do you have?
producer, I need a whistle.
Yeah, you want to beat on the table. Do something. Let's welcome Don. Don,
yes, I mean,
Don has been recognized, but I still think he's an unsung hero.
But I can give him a red card.
Okay, give her a red card. It's true. Give her a red card because I suspect this school he going to tell me he went to the secondary school. So give him a red card.
I don't have a red card. All right, book a big red card for you, Don. There you go.
Yeah. Okay, Papa, red card.
A big red card for you.
Let's bring on Don. Don Leogal.
We will find out if he ever got a red card. I don't think Don looks like somebody who would get a red card. But we'll find out.
You never know. He maybe had a lot. It could be that propelled him to become a coach.
Good morning, Kala.
Don Leogal, bonjour, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you.
Good morning, everybody, and good morning, Nigel. And let me thank you all for having me on as your guest this morning and connecting the dots. It's a pleasure to be there, and I hope the next hour and 15 minutes we can.
We'll have fun time.
Yeah, we can have some fun.
Of course. Right, Nigel?
But of course, the man have the time down back to you. That's to show you. That's what we do at the football academy, which we'll be talking about, and all the other things that Don has been involved with.
Oh, yes.
But good morning to you, Don. It's nice to see you again. Nice to connect again. We're going to have a lot of fun for the hour, like you say, and find out some more about Don and, what you've been involved in and all the rest of it. So, sure. And of course, we'll make Ivona happy because we're both from SMA, so that makes her happy every time we say SMA. We'll say it about 5 times just to make her happy.
Only 5.
Take your food. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So Don, tell us who is Don. I mean, what part of Dominica are you from? Because we like to take it from the beginning first. So what part of Dominica are you from? And then we'll talk about the schools, your childhood and all that.
Okay, good morning again. I say good morning to the listeners of Connecting the Dots, locally and overseas. Who is Don? Okay, I was born Lower Kingshill, pretty close to the Savannah. I was raised on Cornwall Street. At the time of my birth, my mom wasn't too well, so I was kind of brought up by what we call a dada, and on Cornwall Street. And after that, I moved back up to, my former residence, that is Lower Kingshill. And in my teenage years, we moved to Higher Kingshill. So I practically grew up in Kingshill, whether it's lower or higher. That's where my home is. Presently, I married a few years ago, and because of that marriage, and I'm now living on Bath Road in the city. So basically, that's what my brought up has been like.
I wanna apparently you don't realize what broke. You realize he's missing some dots to connect. Right?
We have to go all behind the bike, car in the cool, everywhere.
But first of all, Don, I mean, is your name legally Don?
Yes, it is.
Because most times
I wouldn't be Donald
or something.
No, it's Dons. D-O-N. That.
All right. So we'll find out about that in a little bit. But I mean, when you grew up, like, okay, you said Lower Kingshill, I mean, like the early childhood part of it. Did you go to your early school days, from preschool and primary school? Was that also in that area?
Well, yes, I did go to preschool. What's the name of the preschool? That's the one close to the cathedral. The now then cathedral.
Yeah, or the social center.
So, yes,
center.
that, yes.
So it
that
was green and white.
Yes.
It was that
so I remember going to that preschool. From here, I went to the Newton Boys School, Newton Primary School, which is the old building close to the Savannah. Okay, I went to that school. From here, I went to the Rosa Boys School.
You can skip the next one,
Yes, and the Rosa Boys School was between where All Saints is now and the Goodwill Primary School, because Boys School was also in both sections at one time. And from there, I went to the St. Mary's Academy. And
wait. Say that last one again.
From there, I went to the St. Mary's Academy from 75 to 80. And then to the what we had now, we have the State College now, but it wasn't then the State College, it was the Clifton Jubilee Technical College from 81 to 83. So I did 2 years at the college.
All right, excellent. So, primary school, Newton,
Boys School, Rosa Boys.
Rosa Boys School, was sports like, I mean, a very important thing for you then? Were you involved in sports from very early?
Well, Nigel, I was born into a football family. My father, who is French, actually from Guadeloupe, okay, came to Dominica. And my mother, if the older folks at the time could tell you, was also a footballer. And in fact, if women was able to play football in this time, she would have been one of the starting 11 of the Newton team during that time. So I was brought up in a football family. Both parents, footballers.
Wow. It was by no accident.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, you were raised into this thing.
Yes.
You just had to go on the field.
Yes, I was.
Interesting.
So School days, though. I mean, before we get to before we get to SMA, I mean, in terms of like Rosa Boys School and so on, do you remember some of the guys that you were in school with? Were you guys running around troublesome? Or what was happening?
Well, yes, I remember my school at Newton School. I don't remember names that well, but at the Newton School, our playing days were in the yard. I remember we had the school where the car wash is. Now, if you know where the car wash is, that area, that was the bigger part of the school, and it was a real sandy area, and that is where we played, all our sports. And then from there, we would run into the Newton Savannah. But in those times, you couldn't really use the Savannah because the bigger boys were the controllers of the Savannah. So the respect you had when they tell you it's time to move, then you have to move. You cannot say, well, you make it a fuss. So our playing days on the Savannah were really restricted during school hours. So it was, but my football really started at Rosa Boys School, although I never represented Rosa Boys School at any level, but that's where I played most of my school football in the schoolyard. When we were at Goodwill School on the Pottersville Savannah, but my footballing days was really with the Kings Hill community. We had our own little team in those times and we would go to gardens, play, challenge other little teams around the area. So that's where my football really started, playing with our like a Kings Hill team, or what we call Lower Kings Hill. In fact, we used to have a routine doing every Saturday where we would go to the market and buy farine, mix it with pear and have that and we call our team farine. So that was one of the first thing then we had. Yes, and then I think we end up even in Big One at one time. So, yeah, so that is where my really football, for football started.
So Don, you'd be in a class and just like wanting the bell to ring, like home time, so you'd go on the field? You had those moments?
Most probably, but I can't recall that. No, most probably, yes. From the time you leave school, straight to the Savannah, I remember getting a lot of beatings, because what I would do from school, because you know your school should match up. You take out your school shoe, put it on the side. When you come back, somebody take a school shoe. So when I go home,
football,
yes. So when I go home, I haven't got shoe. So when I go home, I haven't got shoe, and I would get a beating for that.
Whoa.
Or my parents would send me to do a errand. I would end up on the Savannah, and never come back. When I come back late, then I would get a beating. That kind of a thing. So yes, that was
This is passion for sports, and there's so much more we have to learn from Don, and you'll understand why this guy is just something else,
But
yes, Nigel.
In terms of the community, though, Don, I mean, during that time when whether it was Rosa Boys School or whether it was Newton, was the community kind of supporting the sports, or were they telling you, the little boys, move away, go home, do your work, and so on, or were they encouraging you?
Well, it was both. Around that time growing up, Harlem was in its heydays. As you know, Harlem started around 1970. Around 1970, I was 7 years old, so I was just a little boy then, 8 years old. And growing up as a teenager, all you would be thinking of is to represent in Harlem when you're of age. I think every Newton child footballer around that time, that was his goal, to represent Harlem, to be one of the icons of the Harlem community in terms of football, which we are mostly known for, although there are other things that the community, has done well. But football is what we are mostly known for, and I think every teenager, every young boy at the time, and maybe even today, is aspiring to one day represent Harlem.
Take us back to those glory days, even before we move on, because as you mentioned, Harlem, some of the teams that were really popular back in the day around that time, Celtics and the others.
Yes,
give us some of the names and even some of the players as well.
Well, in my time, I know growing up, I didn't play with much of the let's say the icons of Harlem, because when I came in around 1979, that is when they were kind of moving out. So I played with a few of them. I can recall I played with Fox Dumfried. I played with Irvin Benoit, Joseph Gist, Oliver Grell for a short time. Leonard Clarendon, Calvin Staber, Geoff Foster. In fact, Geoff Foster is the one who brought me to Harlem in 1979 from youth team. After playing for under 19 youth team, Geoff Foster is the one, and my very good friend at the time, Derek Green, the two people that really brought me to Harlem in 1979. And from there, we had a host of other, people who went on. Mike's George, and, that's the players of my era. William Java, we used to call him Java. William Dumfries, Peterson Stout, Chillingford, Measures, Courtney Challenger, and those guys, Glenroy Toussaint, Zico Laron, Dan Real. Those are the guys that, I really, played for most of my career during Harlem. And, and we just continue the legacy that Harlem had started. And as though, Harlem is 53 years old, and we're still there going. And, Nigel, I can say that all the teams from the 70s who were there, Harlem, they are now defunct. Not one of them has survived that long, and we're still there. So it must be something that the community and, the club is doing to survive the long years and still, be a significant part in the football landscape in Dominica.
You're saying that Harlem is the only club that's still...
Yes,
okay.
in that
so
era.
But what about Kensborough?
Kensborough is still there, but Kensborough is
a
mega set of themselves now.
Yeah. Interesting.
Playing in the lower division. And also, too, during that time, Harlem is the only club never to drop from the first division or the Premier Division, never been relegated.
Oh, wow. Nigel.
That's proud Harlem. Yes, that's proud Harlem there. As someone who grew up in Kennedy Avenue and, Kensborough was my team, then, I have issues with that. But that's okay. We'll talk about that in a few. but Don, so SMA now, then when you went to SMA, I guess you continued with your love for football there. Did you represent the SMA football team?
Yes, I did. I did really in my first year at SMA. They used to have the under 14 league, the under 16, the second division, and so on, which SMA used to take part in. And I remember my first under 14 competition. SMA, we won the under 14 competition. I remember. At that time, I was already growing a beard. Playing under 14, I was a growing beard, and I remember getting into not me, but a little condition with an older guy who thought that I was playing over age, and I should not be playing in under 14. And when we win the finals, I remember winning the finals. It was Goodwill School. Yes, I think it was Goodwill School that I won the finals. I was kind of confronted, saying that I was over age and I shouldn't be playing there, but that was all good. We played under 16 also, and I'm second division. But I didn't have much success at that. I remember one year when we were doing very well. Your brother Jimmy was the principal during the era, and he was also the coach and also a player. So we had Brother Jimmy and we had a few teachers, I remember Lebron, and another teacher from Goodwill. He used to live with Stuart Williams, and the name not familiar now. But we had two teachers on the team, plus Brother Jimmy, and we were doing very well. And Brother Jimmy called practice one day and said that unfortunately he wouldn't be able to make practice today, so he opened everybody come and train. Unfortunately, that day, the majority of the players decided, okay, Brother Jimmy's not there, we're going to take a day off. And a few of us had practice, and lo and behold, Brother Jimmy showed up. And that was the end of it.
That was the end of it?
Yes. The team was pulled out from the league. Yes. But that was the kind of man that Brother Jimmy was, a disciplinarian.
He was a past guest.
Yes, and yes. And but I had some good times at SMA, the Tuscan Division. Our rivalry with grammar school was a very good one.
And grammar school would always be the victor,
yes,
right? You said yes already. Let's go.
Well, no. I remember that during that time, John Low Black and Peterson, Xavier, and a number of the players now were the ones at grammar school, and the rivalry, was a very keen one. And it's past that, but I would love to see that kind of rivalry return again in football, in school football.
What are some of the other players that you had at SMA with you?
Well,
Remember any of those?
Wadix, one of them. We had Francis Ole. We had the Ewart Bain, Gregory Eugene, Michael Julian, now in the States.
I guess some names. Will
Yeah,
come
some
after.
names are the faces are there, but the names are yes.
Did Dave Cottenham ever train you as well? Was he?
Dave Cottenham trained me, but more on the athletic side. He was not on the athletic side. Yes, and
So you were also involved in athletics as well?
yes, I did a bit of athletics. In fact, one time me and Wadix were really the sprinters of the school. But I wasn't really keen so much in athletics, although I did it for horse audit school, but I never really used it as my fuel to go for. Wadix was more an athletic, person, and Wadix was at that time was one of our sprinters.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, but you could hold your own.
Yes, I could. And well, me and Wadix also played a national youth team together. We were on the same team at one time, national youth team. So me and Wadix, we had we go a long way. And also we had a group in SMA called the Young Something Theater with Daryl Tulo, and yes, I was also part of that at one time.
Yes, the YCD, Young Cultural Dramatists. Yeah.
Nigel, what were you doing at that time? I know it's not your show, but what were you doing at that time? Were you at school already? No, you were not at school?
I was at SMA as well around the time of Don. So
okay.
But we will not discuss that part today.
Okay. Nigel, did you play sports though? Were you on the football field? Were you
I did play sports. Yes, I did. And then I was involved a lot with the more on the literature. I was involved in the newspaper, making sure everything was going well. I served as the editor of the newspaper at school. So when you have me as your guest, then we will, have that discussion.
We have to.
And but Don, in terms of the rivalry, I want to go back to that a little bit when you talk about the rivalry between the SMA and grammar school, and it's something that I guess is not around today. What do you think might have caused that, and was it better then for the whole thing of sports and football?
Well, I think to then grammar school had their field, that's what they call the technical wing. So most of the games were played there. So it created that the grammar school students from grammar school just come down to the field. And at the time, because of the passion thing, SMA students would come over. And also to Nigel, too, you had that thing with the SMA and convent and that thing, and then convent girls would come, and you had that kind of support for SMA on the Catholic side of it, and then grammar school. So I think it created that, but since they have the stadium, that field is no longer, and I think that is part of where the rivalry really break down. Then the schools no longer play in these divisions, the FA League, and now they are more playing in the sports division, football calendar. So the national part of it, where the DFA is to organize and the schools were involved in the second division, this is no longer that way.
Wow.
Do you think they should go back to that? Do you think the DFA should encourage the schools to take part in the leagues?
Well, it's possible, but the way the DFA is set up now, with the club structure and all that going on, I'm not sure how possibly that would work. Although maybe the DFA could make an exception. If the school feel they're good enough to put a team and compete, then I don't know, maybe a discussion can be held in that.
Yeah, wouldn't it be a nice idea if you probably had like a school's team? It's like how you have the West Indies team, or you have, so you'd have a school's team. So you'd be whether you're from grammar school, SMA, St. Joe, Portsmouth, but you're part of the national schools team, who would then take part in that DFA. So that is something young people could look forward to. Is that an idea you think the DFA might be open to?
Okay, well, now that you brought that up, I just thinking. We have what we have now. Every year now they have what they call the inter-school game between Windward Island, and you normally have a team being prepared for that competition. So I don't know, that could maybe be a good, well, it depends on the timing, whether that team can be prepared or use the DFA, maybe second division or first division as part of preparation for the games.
Okay.
I don't know that possible. Maybe something we can look into. Because
Yeah, I think
I
that is something they
remember in the 80s or 90s, somewhere around there, we had the grammar academies made up of SMA and the grammar school, mostly students. And although it didn't last, too long, but they were a formidable team when they played.
Yeah, I think that's something they can probably explore. It's a nice avenue for the young people to, to meet, and then you can probably get the talent from there that will move on to the, to the youth team, to the senior team at some point in time. So, hey, Gerald George, DFA, and all the rest listening. Are you part of the DFA, Amnon?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so all those part of the DFA, if you're listening, let's see how we can get that going. So SMA, rivalry between SMA and grammar school, and then, of course, a little bit of the athletics. What was it like, Don? Take us back a little bit in terms of like when you would have like, an athletics day. When it was SMA, because I know like SMA used to go to see grammar school used to come to see SMA kind of a thing. What was athletics like?
As I said, I was not a big athletics person.
But even if you're on the sidelines, tell us what has happened.
Yes, but I took part in several of our in-house competition, and we had the rivalry. In fact, my house was St. George's. Yes, and we had that rivalry. As I said, between me and Wadix at the time was the two sprinters. We would have our like a tug of war, win run race, and then he would really. But I think he was a better sprinter, so he dominated over the years. But the athletics was a very competitive one. In fact, we had a lot of good athletes at SMA at the time. We had the Harris brothers. I remember the Harris brothers and the McIntyres. They were very good runners. And grammar school too had their good. So when they had the what we would call, I think it was independence or the national athletics, what it is, then we would have that good rivalry. I remember my early days going to SMA, you had people like Bull and Scobie go to grammar school, and those guys were really, really good athletes, And the first time I saw pole vault, I think it's either Bull or one I saw the pole vault at the Windsor Park. So, those days were good days. The rivalry was good, the competition was good, and we are hoping that hopefully soon we will see that kind of excitement coming back in our athletics.
And the communities would support these events as well, apart from the schools.
Well, yes,
giving support.
And I think
it was really a community thing.
I think Windsor Park had a very good, big part to play in that too. So we will see what happens.
Nigel, I miss those days, man. I can just remember cross country at school. Wow. It was
as you talk about cross country, I remember being first run cross country, which I hated. But when you go to school, you had to go. So even though you walk half and you run half, or you come back 2 hours after, but you just had to go, had to run the time. I don't know what it is now. I don't think it's the same way now. But you had to run, whether you're not an athlete, you could be the smartest player in school. Yes, you had to go and run for your house.
So why didn't you like it, Don? You remember?
I was never a sticker for the long distance races, right. and I think that was my issue.
Nigel, I know sometimes fellas would stop and take a little river bath or eat some guava or something.
Oh yeah, I mean you already know you lose, but at least you take part, so you just stop and you just stay in the river for like a bit and then come out and try and see if you can make a shortcut to catch them fellas on the other side, and then you had people who man in the post that used to tell you no, this is the way you have to go and so on. I mean school sports was lovely then,
But I also want to go back to the community though. I mean you say you were born and raised in Kings Hill area?
Kings Hill,
and of course the Savannah was your background. What was the community like? Because obviously Newtown, Kings Hill, very vibrant communities, particularly in those days. What was it like? Apart from you loving sports, what was happening? What was the vibe like in these communities?
Well,
I know Thunderbirds was on, Carnival was a big thing in this community.
Yes,
so give us a feel, give us a picture of it.
Well, it's not like now. Before where I lived, we lived in a yard with maybe 5-6 families, houses close together. And within that same space, that's where you do all your your sports, you play your little marble hole, you play your football, you play everything. You did it in that area. So the relationship was between families were very tight at the time. You have your little squabbles every now and then, but then a day or day after, then everybody's back to normal again. You start going back in your neighbor's house, and that kind of a thing. At that time, fishing was also a big thing in the community. You see boat fishermen coming in there, and then you'd go and pull sand, help them to pull sand, do all that kind of thing. Baking was also where I think at one time maybe had the most bakeries at per community in Dominica. Now we have the likes of Suki and Ruben and Foxy. Those are the three that now I think that are wrong. But then we had, at that time, we had the Gunflop Bakery.
Gunflop?
Yes, that's where Sesame Building is now. We met Cados.
Okay.
Cados had their bakery also. They used to make the best jacquerie that I know.
Wow.
Yes, the Cados.
Jacquerie was what, 10 cents back in the day? 10 cents,
Jacquerie is maybe around 10 cents, yes, maybe around the time.
Right.
Yeah, you had 5 cents bread and that kind of thing. The bread where you have the two sides and you break them. Yes, yes. Yes, and we had Newton, the community maybe had around 7 bakeries that were operating at the time, somewhere around there. So, yes, and then you had the textile industry. Mababa was a big hit at the time. Mababa and several other seamstresses and tailors around. So the community was a very diverse one. So I don't know. Mababa, I think Mababa is a miss from the community.
Oh yes, yes.
And yes, also to remember Charlie Moore. I think you can maybe remember
Charlie.
Charlie had his own bakery.
Yes, yes.
So that's an added that I forgot. So yeah, we had a number of bakeries. Yeah, fishermen, football, carnival was a big thing. I grew up hearing about fights between this one and that one. Yeah. So go Howling and this one, and when you carnival meet and what happened on the road. Well, and Thunderbirds still around, but they were much bigger entity at the time. So
Newton has a rich history, of course, Nigel. You know that. Yeah. And as you speak about Thunderbirds, I'm also thinking of Carnival, and I'm trying to remember this gentleman's name. He would have like street theater. I think it's Lloyd.
Yes, Mr.
You remember,
Lloyd.
You
Yes,
remember
Mr.
him,
Lloyd,
right,
yes.
Nigel?
Yes.
He did a lot back in his day. But so I'm thinking, who documents these things?
Yes.
I mean, there's so much that we're talking about Newton today, but there's so much history, that came from this community, and a lot is still being done in Newton, although not as much as before. But I was thinking, who documents these things? Of course, Ken's Juice, Nigel.
Yes.
And so many other people who continue to contribute.
And, well, that part of it is still active. Ken, although he's not, but his daughter has already took over from Ken's. But Ken's Juice is still there.
You remember people like Sly, he was a calypsonian after the Aaron.
Sly Tire Repair.
Yes. Right,
yes.
Sly Tire Repair.
Yes.
Wow, Newton was just it, back in the day. The old school. I remember when you had activities there, like the Wadikole Compatrian would go there and have a dance at the Newton school.
Yes.
Wow, Newton was just bubbling.
Those were the days.
Those were the days.
Yes.
What about the music at the time, though? What kind of music were you following during those earlier days?
Music.
Did you have a lot of time for music?
No, music wasn't really. But I remember growing up with Naked Feet around on High Street. So right. I would sometimes pass there and listen to them. But in terms of music, I wasn't really a music. Well, Kadas was what was in around at the time. So, I was really, everybody was involved in Kadas, Midnight Groovers, Exile One, and Gramax. And a band I loved very much growing up was Below Men. Yes, their style of style of music came in at the time with a different kind of style of Kadas. Yes, so yeah.
Nice, Nigel. I love this. We're going to look at all aspects. We're going to bring in a lot of Newton, that community, the vibrancy of that community.
Oh yes. And I think well, you could also see. The church was very involved as well in the Newton community. During that time, I think they used to have like a fair or something. They used to have fairs, right?
Yes, they used to have that. They used to have that fisherman feast at the Newton fisheries. Yes, I remember they used to have some football competition to celebrate that. Also, I don't want to just basically Newton. I spent most of my life, well, I grew up really in Kingsdale. Yes, so most of my teenage and adult life was spent in Kingsdale. So I played most of my football playing for Kingsdale team. I'm not in the league, but during various off seasons and so on. Although my national football career has really played with Harlem in the park, but other league was really played with my teammates or my mates, friends from the Kingsville area. We spans several decades. So as I'm there, I want to just big up the present crew. Well, we are all what we call veterans now. Yes, veterans crew, which is where really when we have those little outings, those are the players that I tried to get time to play with every now and then. So although I'm still within Harlem, struggling in Harlem, but we do that extra thing on the side where some of the past players from various clubs, go out on a weekend and play, for some community. So let me just big up all the members of that veterans crew.
Nigel, I'm also looking at the book here, and a lot is going on in the book as well. Alvin Thomas is saying, good morning, Nigel and Ivona, watching from San Diego. He's also saying cross-country run was really good days in SMA. Lydia Langley is saying we had a number of local bakeries in Colliho, so she's also bigging up her community. Alvin is saying those are the days when it took a village to raise a child. Winnie is saying, what about Miss Warner, Quack, Frozen Joyce, and Ken's mom, tamarind jam and balls, Fox mother's tablets, good old days. And so I guess she's just bringing back some memories down from
yes.
And there was Ma Will Senior and Ma Jones Bakery, so Newton was it.
Newton was it. Was there ever a rivalry between Kingsville and Newton?
Well, yes, there's always been a rivalry.
When you say there has always been, it still continues? Oh, in football?
Football,
okay.
Yes. I hope it's football he's talking about. Yes, there's always been a rivalry between, between Newton and Kingsville. In fact, that is where I came in, because I was the one really organizing. When I lived Lower Newton, I was the one organizing because I had the talent, and most people always see me as a leader. I was always somehow made the captain of the team. And as captain, you basically had to do everything. You had to be the coach. If you have to look for a T-shirt somewhere for the game, you had to be the one at the front, look in the T-shirt. That kind of thing. And when I moved up to Higher Kingsville, to Upper Kingsville, it was basically the same thing. And I think that is where my football, already developed more when I moved up I was then in my teens. Yes, so, and then we started playing more competitive. We were better organized and started training better. At that time, I had got a few knowledge in the coaching and been playing over the years. And so we become better. And then we formed our own team. We played as I said, in the Newton League. We played whatever league we could get ourselves into, we played.
Interesting. By the way, Dr. Davian Dublin is saying that he's enjoying the interview. You continue to contribute immensely to sports and other community activities. I think Glenda Ashby, is Ashby?
Yes, Glenda.
Yes, Glenda Ash. Yes, she's saying there'll never be another team like Harlem.
Yeah, I do.
And if you have to go back to Harlem days, Nigel, and you, when you think of Harlem back in the day, you have to think of people like Glenda.
Yes, Glenda.
Because she made this, she added something, a little seasoning in that bouillon there. There was just something else. And Heather as well. Heather
Cheryl,
yes.
And most,
Cheryl Francis, yes.
If we have to call them.
Oh, yes.
Yes, we will have, yes. The community really was behind it.
And you have to think of Cyril as well, eh?
Yes,
Cyril was just Harlem.
Yes. Whether you were, and we had a lot of support from outside of area, especially during the 70s and 80s. When the places like Port Michel and St. Joseph, and they start to make their own teams, then the support because they started supporting their own team. But we had a lot of support from St. Joseph, Port Michel, Loubier, even from Portsmouth, because Harlem is the one. Yes, Harlem is the team that really brought football to this community, to go to these communities and play. At Portsmouth, Mary and different areas. So we really had support, island-wide during this time. But now it's kind of different because most of these communities now have their own team, so the support kind of, But if you talk to the older folks, yeah, they will tell you, sir, Harlem will take a support, where football wins a pack. That kind of a thing.
That rivalry between Harlem and Kensborough,
yes,
that was just something else.
Something else.
Those were the days. Those were the beautiful days. That rivalry. Those were the days when I would carry the football boots of Pope into the. So I could go into the Windsor Park without
so you were boot carrier.
Yes.
yes.
That was
Yes. I remember when NC sang that song.
You could enter without pay. Yes.
When NC sang that song, Harlem. That was just something else as well, because I was on stage, holding my little placard with NC and my brother as well and some other people in the community, because I was right next to Harlem.
I was on stage also.
And yeah, that was just something else, man.
Yes.
Little girl on the stage, not really knowing what's happening.
But that kind of, made, and I mean, no one can dispute what Harlem has done for football now. Yes. It's not even, a discussion in terms of their contribution,
I agree,
to football in Dominican and what they've been able to produce and continue to do so. But Don, when you're on the youth team, let's go back a little bit to you playing for the Dominican youth team. What was it like for you then? Some of the players that you might have played with, and how did the youth team do?
Okay, I started playing in the Newton Football League, and I remember in 1978 playing for Kingsville at the time, and I was having a very good year. During that time, I was maybe about 16 years. Yes, somewhere around there, 15, 16 years. And I remember walking on the road, and Coco Show at the time came up to me and tell me, I watch you play, why you don't go and try for the youth team? I said, at that time, I said, okay, I will. So I went in, that was 1978. I went, and lo and behold, I was having, a very good training session. In fact, I thought at the time I would have made the team if I hadn't got injured. A couple of days before the team was supposed to be picked, I got injured. So I lost out on that opportunity in 1978. And incidentally, in 1978, that's when the Dominica team won the youth championship. Cabral Wells, it was at the time youth championship for the first time and the only time ever. That was in 1978. With the likes of Mike's, George, Lenny Andre, John Loblack, I think Derek Green, Peterson Stout, Chillingford, William Jackson, Daniel Luge was part of that team, Alpha Mesmer, and we had some good talents at the time. So those are the guys who really carried the flag. And the years before that, I think we had one of the best teams, and I think they lose in the finals with people like Coco Show himself, Kidney Challenger, the Lawrence brothers, Peck Lawrence, and Arthur Major Surrender, and some of our good fellows were on that team at that time. And so fast forward, I tried again in 1979. We played our first game, I think away to St. Lucia, and after that Hurricane David came. And I think the tournament, or we never took part in the tournament again after that because of Hurricane David. 1980, we entered into the tournament again, and this time I was the captain of the team, Waddix. Waddix was also a member of that team, okay, at the time. I think Derek Green was still there. Mike George, yes, I think Mike George was still there at the time. And Bascoon, remember Big Bascoon?
Oh, yes.
Julius Bascoon was a member of that team also. Affley Robin. So we still had a very good team at the time. But then I think we lost to St. Lucia, I think, over two legs. Yes, and well, that was, where my youth team, by that time I was over age, so I couldn't play youth team anymore. But around 1979-82, I also was started making my way into the senior team. So I was a member of the senior team at that time. So between 79 and 90, I had a career as a senior national player. Was here in 1990. I had an accident and my leg got broken, and I never played senior national football after that, but I continued playing local football. So between 1979 and 1990, that was the span of my senior football career. I also captained the national team for some time, the senior national for some time. Yes, during my period.
Do you think do you think Wadix could have made a good footballer? Do you think Wadix could have made the senior team?
Yes, if he had, I'm not sure if he got his leg, how soon after he got that broken leg, but I think if he didn't sustain an injury, I think he could have gone on to be one of the national footballers. But I think Wadix into around that time was really diverting into other things, into the Wadi Kole and yes, I think that was his passion. The Creole was his passion, so I'm not sure if he would have really, how that would have worked from, or maybe because of the injury, he really pushed himself in that direction. But that is the history now.
Interesting. But what about? I mean, I'm trying to. So football then, Don. I mean, when you played for the youth team in the 70s and so on, how would you say was the support of the Dominican community? Were they like behind the team? Or is it a situation like today you see a difference?
I think it is, well, let's put it like that. You would have seen that passion more because then we had Windsor Park.
Okay.
Yes, so everybody would come to do the games. We would have played Windsor Park. But then after that, our games were out of Roseau. Sometimes we'd have to play, during that time too, we'd have to play games at Granby. One time was where we played some of our national games. Otherwise, our games were played outside because we really didn't have a field where we could play international games for a certain period of time. So that kind of passion, you really see it kind of died out after some time.
Nigel, I'm also looking at something that Glenda said. She was mentioning teams like CJ have JD Rocks, and I guess some other teams that Don we did not mention earlier when we were talking about what was happening in the community.
Yes.
But I know these teams, JD Rocks and CJ have stars or whatever.
Yeah, well, we had besides Harlem, there was also a number of other teams. Well, if you have to even go before that, even before Harlem, you had Thunderbirds. Before Harlem, Thunderbirds used to be a football besides Carnival. Thunderbirds was also a football team in the area. Okay, that's I think that's, if I'm not wrong, I think maybe that's how it started.
Okay, so Nigel, I know I went back here, but sometimes because for posterity we want to document this thing.
That's
so
what
sometimes
then,
when you remember, you have to
during
go
the
back.
Harlem time, they had players that figured out, well, they couldn't make it to the Harlem team because Harlem had a core of players, and once they're fit, they would be the one that would always be playing because they were successful. Then they formed Spurs. The breakaway from Harlem and from Spurs. So you had Spurs one time, who was another team from Harlem, but Spurs lasted several, didn't last so long. Most of them come back into the Harlem fold, come back to play for Harlem. Then, as you said, you had CJF Stars. At one time, you had a team called Reliance Stars, who also played so I think at first division or intermediate some sort in the National Football League. Then and coming fast forward, you had JD Rocks. Well, Rocks went up to JD Rocks, Valrico Rocks played several, and they too was a formidable force together with Harlem. I remember one time it was either JD Rocks win the championship and Harlem win the championship, and we had that, in and out for several years, where JD Rocks would win the league and knockout one year, and Harlem would, and then Kensborough in between would, yes, but it was the rivalry was between Harlem and JD Rocks. Then come 1999, where both teams realized that we were having difficulties in terms of the manpower, the players. Then that's where the Harlem United Sports Club was formed. It was a combination between the Rocks at the time and Harlem. So where both teams joined together to make what we have now, the Harlem United Sports Club, and that happened in 1979. And well, apart from that, we also had the teams that never played in any DFA League, but you had the Sesames, you had the Youngsters, and Sesame was a byproduct of JD Rocks, and you had Icons also, who was another team, also played Premier and played First Division. Okay, that was players again that thought that they had the talent and they couldn't make it into the Harlem senior team, so they made the Icons team, and they lasted several years, but they never was unable to sustain. So Harlem, as the father figure of the community, in the end, always the one, carrying the community.
Wow. And by the way, Rosalind Severin McLean is saying that she wrote about them in her book, Oceans of Thoughts. So that should be a good read, Oceans of Thoughts, written by Rosalind Severin McLean. Yes, Nigel.
Would you say the Harlem, it's a Harlem football team, Harlem football club, but it's more than that? Do you feel like it's like a ground where it's an area where young men can be developed and family, and you can teach other things besides football?
Well, yes. I know in the 70s and 80s when you had that movement, that Black Power Rastafari movement, and I think Harlem at one time had some conscious, and they were moving in a direction where they're going to have night classes and having different things, but then I guess hurricane and then migration and some of the things and all that kind of, and in fact, even lately 2 years on before hurricane, we were also thinking of that way. At one time, we were also thinking at that computer age was coming and doing a computer lab and having other things. But then Hurricane Maria came, and and the building we were thinking of, which is now the Newton Old School. I know if you pass, you see the condition of it since Hurricane Maria. So we were never able to I think,
and that's a large space that should have been utilized.
That has really set not just the club, but the community on a whole back. What the plans that we had as a club and the community, I think not having that area really set us back, because the academy in Harlem, that was the place we used as our headquarters, really our base. And now without that, then it's kind of put a halt on all the plans that we have. Also too.
But so there's no forward movement of this? I know there was a fire there as well. Would you have lost a lot?
That was even worse than hurricane, because all our memorabilia, our trophies, and a lot of our stuff got burnt.
That was in what, 2018, 2019?
Yes, after hurricane, 2018. Yes, a year after hurricane, I think. Yes. 2018. Yes, so that has really, trophies we had from the 70s and the 80s. Yeah, all that got and golf in that fire. So also to me, just leave out there, Lubia has played a significant part in Harlem too, because we had a number of players who came from the Lubia area.
Sitonia area as well.
Yeah, Sitonia. Well, when I say Sitonia is part of Harlem, by just going and stretching it. Kings Hill, we had a number of players who came from the Kings Hill area. In fact, at one time, Kings Hill maybe had around 7 or 8 players on the Harlem team. Okay, and I say 8, maybe starting at one time you would say, it's the Kings Hill team that represented Harlem. And it has always been like that. Point Michel, we had a number of players also coming from the Point Michel, even the Tousse brothers, Alan Tousse and Alfred, and we had a number of other players from Point Michel who played for Harlem. And even as far as St. Joseph, we have players from St. Joseph, and even currently, okay, we have players from Soufriere, we have from Maho, and also Harlem, a club that has, really encouraged and have included not just Newton-based players, or what we call the general Harlem area players, but players from outside.
I see Renick Thomas, big up Renick as well. Renick wants to know why Jerry Charles never made it to the Harlem Division 1 team, and do you believe he still has a chance?
No, Jerry played Division 1 for Harlem. Maybe not, but I remember Jerry playing for Harlem.
Okay.
Yes, I remember Jerry playing. He maybe didn't play much, but I remember Jerry playing for Harlem.
I'm trying to remember the name of this guy who had this this ability to hold the ball on his head.
You're talking about Superfly.
Right?
Superfly.
Oh, yes, Superfly.
Yes, you're talking about Superfly.
Yes.
Superfly also played for Harlem, but he didn't play that long.
Too, right? played for Spurs as well.
Yes, well, I played for Spurs
Okay.
as well. He also played for, I think he played for Harlem maybe
What
a
about
few
Piqué?
times.
Did Piqué ever play for Harlem?
Who?
Piqué. Calypsonian Piqué.
Piqué, I think, was from, yes, the 70s. I'm not sure if he played, but I know he was a member of Harlem, and in fact, he was the one who broke away from Harlem to make Spurs.
Oh.
Aye, right. That's what I was getting at.
Yes, he was the leader. I think he was the leader, the orchestrator of
He
the
was.
Spurs team.
Ah.
One of the
Yeah.
orchestrators of the Spurs team. So he may have played for Harlem. I cannot recall because at that time I was about maybe 8, 9 years old. So I cannot, during that time of 2000, 1970, let's say as far as 1973, I was about 10, 11 years old. So I cannot recall, yes, Picky, but then I know he was a member of Harlem, so he could have played, he could have represented Harlem.
I like that discussion, Nigel, because it's obvious that sports has really brought us together, especially back in the day. Sports has made really a significant contribution to national development. Just recently, I spoke with people like Joe Faustin and Courtney Challenger, and others, Nigel. And as the program goes along, we can have these people on to tell their story.
Oh, definitely.
And sometimes we'll have like
Definitely, yeah.
3 or 4 or 5 on one program, but that's the intention. Because we have to bring back these days. We have to let people understand how it was before.
Yes, as you mentioned, those two people there, as I said in my introduction, Geoff is the one who brought me into Harlem, and Geoff has played a significant, not just in Harlem, but in local football. Geoff, which we'll speak to a little later, the academy. Geoff is the founder of the academy, is the one that really, built the academy, so he has an integral part to play.
Tell us about the academy, though.
But
Tell us about
we'll talk. Also, you mentioned Courtney. Courtney is a stalwart of Harlem. Haley's Courtney.
That's a goalkeeper extraordinaire.
Also he's giving back now to the club. He's now our goalkeeper coach, so he has been working with our young goalkeepers, and we're hoping that we can have him for a few years until he call it total retirement. I know he retired from the national duties, and now he's back working with the club. So we want to hope that by the time he's done, that we will have within our ranks, some good young goalkeepers produced for not just Harlem but on the national circuit.
So Asin, tell us a little bit about that football academy, Newtown Juvenile Football Academy. What's it like? What's the objectives? What's happening in it now? Tell us something about it.
Okay, first thing, I just want to say the academy is 30 years old this year. Okay, so the academy was started in 1993, as I said, by Mr. Faustin and a number of other individuals. Mr. Faustin went, I think maybe for his work program, into some course in Europe. And from there, he was able to see the operation of various clubs and the academies. And when he came back, he decided, why not form an academy in the Newtown area, since he was based in Newtown. And he got a number of people from the community, Oliver Grell, Dr. Grell, Francis Grell, Nigel, maybe you'll remember the girl who was teaching at SMA.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Ronald Lander, Clem John, Bill Julian at the time, and myself and Jerry Coppell. Those are the people I remember. That was the kind of first management structure of the academy. And at that time, I think ACS, Julie T. Murphy, yes, was the how would you call him? ACS was the first sponsor of the academy. Yes, and with Julie T. Murphy, and that really would go a long way in making sure that the academy was able to remain on the foot and stay sustainable. And that's where we are 30 years later. When Mr. Faustin left, migrated several years after, I was entrusted, since I was the most senior coach here, and I was the president of Harlem at the time. And basically, it's me and Mr. Faustin at the time, and the coaches that I was entrusted to really keeping the academy afloat. And I did that with several of the coaches. We had a number of coaches over the years. who have assisted and really helped to keep the academy and all the parents and all those who assisted us over the years. Digicel, after the ACS could no longer sponsor, Digicel came on board for some 9 years and really gave some significant support to the academy. But after Hurricane Maria, just before Hurricane Maria, that sponsorship ended, and from since then we have been self-reliant. We've been getting sponsorship and donation from different organizations. In fact, lately they are the NAO for the National Authorizing Office, NAO, European Union, gave us a contribution of some equipments, which we are very grateful for. Also, Mr. McIntyre he lives in the States, okay, send some equipments for us also. And we've been getting some equipment from past Island players, and Ron John at one time sent some equipment. And we had a guy called D-Bax who lives in England. I don't remember his name, but you should know D-Bax.
I heard the name.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
From Seaton, yes, D-Bax. I tried Clement something. I don't remember the second name. Yeah. Also give some assistance over the years. And we've been, yes. But most importantly, our parents is the one who's sustained, because there is a monthly fee that they have to contribute to monthly, and that is what really keeping the academy alive, so afloat. And we have a number of dedicated coaches, I must say, who come out voluntarily every Saturday to give their time. And as management, we are very grateful for that. And presently, the management of the team as well is myself, so I wear two caps as the president of the Highland Sports Club and also the Newtown Juvenile Football Academy. And then we have Sabrina Booley. We have Albert Titt, who is now all for state. He was the program director of the academy, but he has recently migrated. We have Reginald Lander, Jerry Coppell, Sheldon Kazami. Those are the people that are now really the management of and they're also actively coaching in the academy. We have a number of other coaches, parents, volunteer coaches, and other people who assist. We have about roughly, let's say 11, 13 of us regularly, contributing to the training of those. And we are still asking anybody who's interested in assisting, being part of that voluntary movement, to help to develop the kids, not just in football, but we do other life skill. In fact, this year we are planning to reinstate our summer program where we do more than just football, where we get people to come in other aspects of life and talk to the kids. In fact, last week, in one of our education, we had Julian Wade, who is Dominican lone professional player, come in and talk to the 13s and under 15 years old of his journey and football locally and to where he is now. And I think, that was a very interesting session. So those are the kind of things we try to do at the academy besides the football. And we are still looking to anybody who think they are capable and assisting us in whatever equipments, balls, boots, whatever it is. You can just link me up. I can give my number 225-2188. That's my number, so you can contact me, and we can see how we can take it from here.
I like that. By the way, Sonia Williams is sitting on the live. By the way, good morning, Sonia. Auntie Sonia. D-Bax is Joseph Clement.
Yes,
Joseph Clement.
Yes.
Nigel.
Is the academy both boys and girls?
Yes, it is. But we are more dominated with boys. We are seeking we started a girls program sometime last year, exclusive for girls, trade exclusive for girls. We have a number of girls coming in, but it's not like the boys. And so we are hoping that the parents, if your daughter is interested in playing football and they have the age, we start at 5 years old. They're of age and they're interested, just contact us, and we have a special thing for girls.
Nigel, when I'm coming to work on a Saturday, I always look out for them. It's really something else to see this large group on the savannah and getting involved in that physical activity. Really, really, really impressive, I must say. Hats off to the NGFA.
Has anyone from the academy gone on to represent Dominica?
But several, we have several,
Okay.
several. We can start way back. We want to start well in the time it's the Sham Adi Johns, and those guys from way back then. Yes, so, and in fact, a couple years ago when we had the first set of guys that we had that scholarship program that we started some years ago with the Free Kick Foundation, 76 Free Foundation Harlem, where we some 5 or 6 students were sent to study in the United States. Yeah, 4 or 5 of them were products of the academy. In fact, when the Chelsea club came down and they had some tryouts, free of the players selected to go to Jamaica for extra training were from the academy.
Okay.
Those are Giles Michel, Andres Joseph, and Bell. Yes, were from the academy. No, all 3 now are out of states. Andres and Giles are in the United States because they went to college here, study a football scholarship, and they're out of state. And Bell, migrated for family reasons somewhere in the Virgin Islands. So we have also to Manchester United to had a training session here, and one of our students from the academy also, was the one selected for further training. One of the players selected for further training in Barbados. So he too is out of state. His family reason migrated to the Virgin Islands. So we have a number of students, and also to the Harlem team. I have several of them students now within the ranks. In fact, we had several students from our under 15 team who came out second in the DFA under 15 league and now part of the first division set up within the Harlem club. So we take them from here, and as long as they're capable, we bring them into the Harlem club.
Nigel, I'm hoping that through this program, some connection can be made. I know sometimes it depends on the guests we have. After the program, we have requests for numbers and things like that with organizations abroad, looking to see how they can help organizations in Dominica. So I'm hoping that something similar can be done in that regard, because there's a lot being done. Do you have a website, Don? Is there a website?
No, we don't. We have a Facebook page.
You have a Facebook page, okay.
We have a Facebook page, but we don't have a website. No.
So people can find out what's happening.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting.
And make that contribution, definitely.
Yeah.
So, Don, you've been manager of the senior team, you've been manager of youth teams, you've been manager of the Harlem Sports Football Club and everything else. What's it like serving as manager of the senior team?
But before I even go onto here, I'm not sure we'll come back to Harlem, but I want to just pay homage to the people who started Harlem. Oliver Joseph and Peaky himself, made me say, tell me he was one of the founding members, so I don't want to leave him out.
No, Peaky is,
yes, Cecil Bertrand, Irving Benoit, Slide, who has gone on. And those are the people that really make or have me sitting here today. They were the one who started Harlem. In fact, Harlem really began from watching the Harlem Globetrotters basketball team playing a basketball game. And the guys decided, if we can have people doing that, we have the talent, why don't we transform that into football and make it a showpiece? That was the idea at the time. And Oliver Joseph got together with different footballers from the area, and they put that in starting in 1917, in fact, and their colours, because of how quick they were organized, I don't think black and white was supposed to be the actual colours, but that is what they could get at the time. And I remember the story that when they first came out, they tell them that's a funeral team, that team going to die black and white. That is a team that's going to die just so that's a funeral team because you dress black and white, you dress to go funeral. Yes. And 53 years after, okay, we are still there in the same black and white.
And NC said in his song, those black and white t-shirts running here and there cast a spell in the atmosphere.
Yes. 50 years. So I want to really pay homage to those, the founders of Harlem, and make them, and well, they have been putting on a show, If you remember 1978 in particular, that era where Kensborough had beaten Harlem 4-off in that bomber soap. Yes, that was maybe the highlight of football, that year 1970, the highlight of football in Dominica.
Oh,
Harlem
yes.
come with the bomber soap throwing, and they got 4-off, and it was alleged that they jumped the wall and run back to Newtown. You know, that kind of a thing.
Man.
And
Yes,
come the
yes.
knockout,
You guys went to
finals.
You guys went to slide tire repair and do
Well,
all kinds of things. To settle.
I from still trying to pick that. I understood it was an alleged, that was a makeup thing. But anyway, that's part of the history. And come the knockout of that same year, Harlem defeated Kensborough 2-1. Okay, and remember the come and get it lappe cartoon, and that time cartoon was the order of the day. That come and get it, yes, come and get it lappe with Fox, with Fox and Morris Hyde Expensive being the highlights of that cartoon. So those were the exciting. Yes,
I remember Nigel as well. I'm not sure what game it was, but Jeffrey Edmond. I'm not sure if he kicked the ball from the goalpost to the other goalpost, or if he sent it. I can't remember. But that too was a big moment. So many things I remember about football, because football really brought us together. Yes. Really, really unified us as a people.
Well, Jeffrey Edmonds is another era of Harlem football. Yes. So so I was saying, a lot of them play significant role, Harlem, we had people like Tutti Gist, who, at the time was and Tutti Gist not only play football, Tutti Gist play basketball, he played cricket, and he was a very, very good. In fact, growing up, I think he was the person I really look up to as a footballer, like Joseph Gist. And another person that I really was strong to be very close was Derek Green, though, he was we were partners, if you want to call it like that. And so those are the two people that I really looked up to growing up as footballers.
But who was Wizard?
Wizard? We had
Someone is asking, one of the
Fox.
greatest footballers in the 1970s. He was swift on that field like wind. I don't know.
I don't know. I know we had a Wee-Wee. This is a brother Fox, Dumfried. Wee-Wee. I'm not sure about the Wizard.
Okay. Sonia Williams is saying, kudos, Don. Very well said. Lots of great history in Harlem. We need to get that documented. Let me also say hello to Justin Tabanis, who is on with us. Roseanne Peltier, oh yes, was just thinking the same. Then I saw your comments. Great job, Don. Congrats to you and your team. As Don, given the scope and sustainability of the academy, songs like a blueprint templates that can be replicated in other communities on the island. What are his thoughts on that?
As you talk about template, I know a number of communities that study academies, but the good thing about us is we have people who are dedicated, and the other communities, I know that the leaders, once the leader, for some reason, I know of a few of them, the leader had to migrate, then the academy died because nobody stayed to sustain it. I know Lapland had one when the leader, Wayne Phillip at one time was doing one in the southeast. When he migrated, that died. Okay, so it's only two areas that I know of now that really have sustainable academies: ourselves and Portsmouth. We were Andy, it has something on the Portsmouth Academy. Also to know that the DFA is having a grassroots program now going on. I see there are different communities where they have the grassroots program. So maybe that will encourage the clubs within the area. Or also to Dubla started an academy recently, Dubla Sports Club.
Okay.
So maybe that will encourage the communities the clubs in the communities to really have their grassroots or their academies going on. Maybe that can develop from here. I think, if I'm not mistaken, maybe to the east, between the East Central and that area, Casipus area, maybe something is being done here, but that I'm not too sure about. So hopefully we can see, a lot more of these academies, the clubs from the various communities, if they have to join together, depending on their location, that they have got they might to have everybody have their own academies, maybe to come together and do something in their community.
But we need to document this. I mean, you can go back to articles on the Chronicle articles from Reginald St. Havy Shillingford, the late Philip Allen, and people would have written in the past, even Arlington James, about sports.
Yes.
But it's really good to document these things, especially Harlem. I mean, Harlem played a big role. Nigeria in black and white, man.
Yeah, you're black and white.
But
yes,
just
Harlem.
known for true. But I'm a Harlem girl. I mean, I was right with my back.
Well, I mean, that's your area.
I had no
too,
choice. My mother was
You
there.
had
I
no
had my
choice.
T-shirts and
Yeah.
everything. So yeah,
You had to follow through.
yeah, I had to. I had to.
But
Well,
Nigel, as you speak,
Was there? Go ahead.
but as you speak in Harlem, in terms of their championship, has had a great history where several years they would win the league and knockouts, or they would. But in 1973, in particular, was a very good year for Harlem, where I think they went this season undefeated. Not just undefeated, but there were 4 championship play for that year, and Harlem won all 4. Okay, they won the league, first division league, and knockout. When the let's just put it, the community wasn't satisfied, or they had to see Harlem lose, there was a OD Brisbane Cup brought in.
Yeah.
Harlem won that. After that, there was a Gillette Redis Cup brought in. Harlem won that also. So that year, Harlem won all 4 championships that was brought up for stake, and I think that is the highlight of the Harlem Sport Club. That is a thing that a lot of the present people, footballers, don't know, and that is something that apart from winning the league and knockout for several years, but that particularly when Harlem won undefeated, winning all 4 championship at stake, I think that was, and I will only say kudos to the players at the time. At the time, there were the Fongler, the Foxes, the Irvin Benoits, the Slides, the Oliver Grell, the Oliver Joseph. All those players during that time, the Wee-Wees, who made it possible for us to have that legacy that we have today.
Shirls Joe, my girl, is saying football dominated in the 70s. When you entered Windsor Park, you had 2 choices, the North Stand or the South Stand. And she's saying that her pick was the South Stand with a piece of wood to beat the Galvanize on a goal scored by Harlem. Wow, that was just excitement. Pandemonium.
Oh, yes.
That's what you call it.
Oh yes, that was the great days of being in the Windsor Park. One remembers when the stands couldn't take it no more and the stands actually collapsed. Those were the great days, man, of football in Dominica. Don, we're talking about the great days of Harlem, the great days of football. There's a lot more money now in football in Dominica. There's a lot more organization. Do you think that football is on a higher standard now than it was back then? Yes.
Yes and no?
I personally don't think so. We have a few players with individual talents, but I think, and I hate to compare back then with now, because then, but I think in our time, because from my experience, we were more committed to the game. We were more committed to the game, not just to the game, but more committed to training. And I think that is the biggest factor in our football now. Enough players don't take time to develop themselves individually. And I remember, nowadays we would get up in the morning and nobody would ask us to do it. We just, okay, hey, let's go and run tomorrow morning. We'd get up, we'd go and run. I'm going to talk from my experience at national team. Because of how we train, we had to train, let's say, about 6 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. I'd have to leave Kings Hill, run on to Windsor Park in the morning, train, leave about 7 o'clock, run back up to Kings Hill to get ready to go to work for 8 o'clock. Going to work for 8 o'clock, I'd have to have my training gears in my bag. Go to work, leave work at 4 o'clock, run to Windsor Park, train, they get home. And maybe do the same thing the next morning, depends on what the training schedule is like. And now, I don't think you will get that to happen today.
Yeah.
So that is the kind of, and even to get players to just work on their craft individually, you don't have to have a coach on your back all the time for you to do anything. Just go and hone your craft. I think that is, and if we can get our players to understand that, and if they really want to be the best they can be, well, it's football, they have to work on their personal development.
There's a lot that has to be done still. A lot. I mean, I see what is happening. A
Yes.
lot has to be done.
And I think personal development, that is what we lacking now. Because even in the great Coco show, I mean the great Coco show in his time, and even the Harlem players, the Fox and the Benoit, and Benoit, I think is the one taught me that. Tell me, for his balance, what he used to do, I think he used to get Portuguese at the time, and he'd walk on the edge of the gutter, of going down to work just to make sure he get his balance, that he don't fall out on the edge of the drain. Yes, for his balance. That was to work for his balance. Coco Shoe would go in Windsor Park or wherever with his cones and do all his dribbling here alone. He don't have anybody with him. You know, and we don't see that happen with players today. They take their talent for granted and they develop it. So that is one of our biggest issues.
That's a concern as well for people like you. Nigel, we are nearing the end. I could just stay on
We
it
are.
down, man. Just listen to that.
I know, because the discussion is
Wow.
one that's, I mean, and what I love about this is that it kind of lets us see how we have allowed a lot of times for history to just pass us by because we're not documenting it.
Yeah.
We're not, and you know, when we have guests like Don and they can bring us back and tell us about the days, what used to happen in the Harlem community and so on, tell us about how the community was and what community was doing for individuals, you know. So Don, we appreciate you connecting with us today. I want to wish you continued success with the academy and with Harlem. I know through your time with Harlem, you've had your ups and downs. Did they kick you out of Harlem once? Were you kicked out of the Harlem Sports Club once or something?
No, there was an attempt, but as you know, in the end, the head cornerstone remained the head cornerstone.
It's the stone that the bill has refused.
Yeah. But Nigel, on a lighter side, in our time, you know, when we played for our love for our club, but we also played for the girls.
Papa,
Yes.
we don't even bring that in earlier.
Yes.
Nah?
And we also
Hey,
played
the
for the girls. So, you know how crazy it was in these times. Yeah,
Oh,
and
yes. Yes.
especially on a Sunday when you play your game and your team to look to go to Grotto or somewhere after and have your free up time. You know, so
yes.
a number of us get into a lot of problems, I must say.
Well,
Yeah, but it was much better then than now. Because all the violence that going on now, instead of that being part of it, let's play for the girls. Okay, what we play is I don't know. To me, I would love to see this. I don't know if it cannot come back, but I would love to see maybe we can have that kind of where we play and then after we can go and socialize instead of fighting among ourselves. Yeah, we having some fun with the girls.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Have some fun. Nigel, I remember my days like when I used to go and look at basketball in particular at the Windsor Park. Sometimes I would not see the game because I was a little teenager then, adolescent, spring chicken. I would not even see the game, but you go and see the guys play. The other guys whispering in your ears on this. Anyway, that's another story. Nigel!
Those were the days.
Those are the days, I tell you.
Those are the days when sports and romance came together. It was lovely.
Yes. Play for the girls. I like that.
But Nigel, Harlem, accumulatively, we are 53 years old this year. But I was just going through our championships and our awards at all the various levels, whether it's Premier, Division 1, Second Division, Under 20, Knockout, whatever it is. And I was just making a thing there. And in our 53 years, we have 55 championships won so far. So in fact, we have more championships than we have years.
Wow.
Big story,
That
big
is
story.
definitely a legacy to go
Nigel,
on.
we'll have to see what we can do when they reach that 53. What month will that be, Don?
Well, that is almost around the corner.
Okay, all right.
Almost
So we
around
can
the
see what we
corner,
can arrange, man. Bring a few of the old players, on the program. Have a team, sort of.
Yeah.
We can learn something.
Yes. Let's
definitely.
But
work
we
on
have
that.
to end. We
Let's
have
work on
to
that.
end. We have to end. The time has come. The time has gone. Don Leogal, it was really, really a pleasure, bringing you on. It's a while I've been trying to get you to come on. You're always busy, but I'm happy that you spend some time with us. We will have Watson Courtney challenges soon as well.
Let me just say, too, I didn't touch on that, but presently, I worked, 33 years in the private sector, and some 3-4 years ago, I got the opportunity to to work in the sports division as a sports officer.
Oh, yes.
And now I'm presently a sports officer within the sports division, and with my responsibility being football.
All right.
And I must say, over the last 3-4 years, it has been a good experience for me. I'm glad for the opportunity, and I'm hoping that we can make a difference. We can make a difference. We are, well, from since I'm there, we have seen a different way of organization in terms of our football program. In fact, our finals and also has become the kind of highlight for what you see now the DFA is trying to do. I think every year we do something, we see the DFA trying to, and we are pushing the boundaries.
Okay, well, we have to end. It's time for another program. People are calling, people are sending messages. The man Bernard Terrell, bonjour. That's it. That's all we end. Thank you, Don. Nigel will hook up again.
We connect again, my dear.
All right, then.
Thank you.
Thank you, all of you who listen or viewed as well. Merci.